They look like any young couple delighted with the birth of a new baby. But Joanna Claire Elizabeth Pike has arrived just after her parents' lives were turned upside down. 3 weeks ago, Andrew Pike and pregnant wife Anna returned from a doctor's appointment to find their Patterson home and its uninsured contents destroyed by fire. They and their 3 children were left with nothing but the survivors from a menagerie of pets. As they picked through the charred ruins of their home, they were left to contemplate an uncertain future. So what happens from here?
Start again. That's all we can do. Start again.
Oh yes, the most precious asset of all is little Joanna here. Beautiful.
The Pikes are still dogged by financial worries and the stress of losing all their worldly goods. But baby Joanna has lifted their spirits with a strength that defies her 3.1 kilograms. Her relatively smooth arrival was helped by the generosity of the townsfolk of Patterson, who gave the stricken family food, furniture and baby clothes.
The help everyone has given us, especially around the Patterson area, has been absolutely phenomenal.
The whole shock of everything's been so great. I mean, I've just been trying to pull my family together with my children and everything because that's been the most important thing.
For now, mother and baby are doing well and looking forward to a future that seemed a world away 3 weeks ago. Leslie Robinson for NBN News.
The village on the western side of Lake Macquarie has grown steadily over the past 5 years, from a nursing home to a hostel and now 12 self-care units. The 2-bedroom units sell for about $100,000 and each has a courtyard and carport. The units are connected by a buzzer system to the nursing home should a resident need assistance. There's a common room for get-togethers or a hairdo. Maintenance crews take care of the upkeep.
I don't have to do a thing if I don't want to, but you can help with the shops and things like that if you want to. It's up to you. You can do what you want to do.
Well, after living in town, I'd say the best thing is the beautiful trees that I can see and the lovely old people that are here.
Another 19 units are to be built on the site, as well as a swimming pool and doctor's surgery. The Lake Macquarie High School band joined residents and staff for the opening.
Under the watchful eye of Australian selector Don Ferner, the Blues got off to a great start as centre Jason Martin crossed after just 2 minutes. The Queensland forwards were hitting hard, but there were alarming gaps out wide and only a forward pass saved the Maroons from further embarrassment before they'd touched the ball. Hooker Peter Besgrove caught the Queenslanders napping under their own posts to put the Blues further ahead, and it looked like a whitewash was on the cards. The Maroons are made of tougher stuff though, and replacement fullback Kieran Meyer showed all the skills in this trip over the try line. Another try to Martin gave the Blues a handy half-time break, and local boy Craig Makepeace put the issue beyond doubt just minutes later. Two more quick New South Wales tries made for an embarrassing scoreline, but the Queenslanders found some pride and began to hit back. This touchdown brought some respect. This one brought the house down. The final score, New South Wales 32, Queensland 16, and Don Ferner was smiling.
When you look at those high school boys go out there and play like they did there today, the both sides, the skills that were showing, all I know is the Australian Rugby League haven't any worries about the future and the depth of talent, because it'll just keep coming through when you have standard of play with these fellas showing their skill out there today, and that's high school boys. So you can see, and as I said before, Australia's rugby league are in good hands.
Costing more than $380,000 to build, the units were paid for entirely by the parish of All Saints New Lambton. Bishop Hélène called on the government to give more aid to what he called the community's #1 priority, the aged.
There are people in the community who are very poor that need government support and aid, and I think we ought to lean very heavily on the government to help them.
With long waiting lists for pensioners' accommodation, the Bishop called on the government to dig deeper into its pockets. The community too could work harder, he said, the new Lambton units proving it could be done.
"50 vehicles of varying shapes and capacities contested the second round of the East Coast Trade Challenge at Raymond Terrace in conditions that were suited to quick times. Cliff Alderton was in sensational form and was far superior in his 3 runs over the 3, 4 and 3 lap course. His quickest time in the prologue was 3 minutes 48.95 seconds, and he showed a clean pair of hills to Neil Duck from Kempsey. Duck also drove a buggy but couldn't peg back the hard-charging Alderton. The twisting circuit sorted out the men from the boys, and a good crowd was in support. Of the local lads, Jeff Page loves to turn it on for the spectators, and he did just that, and decided that a couple of spins and a ride amongst the tyres was far more entertaining than serious racing.
Half a dozen detectives moved in on the Steel Street address at about 3 o'clock.
These are other police officers and the Jeff Mansfield from the Newcastle City Council.
Right.
Now, we'd like to talk to you somewhere. Where can we do that?
Okay, we can do that down in the kitchen.
The occupants haven't broken the law, but they are in breach of council regulations, and a council officer accompanied the police to advise them that the building doesn't have approval to operate as a business premises. Exactly what kind of business is up to police to determine. However, Chief Inspector Ian Cleary stressed any attempt to establish a brothel on the premises would be strongly opposed. It's understood police had no objections to publicity surrounding the operation. They hope it will increase pressure on Newcastle City Council to look closely at further applications for businesses like this in the city. Police say there are already 5 escort agencies operating in the city, and although this one has been requested to close down, there's nothing to stop the operators making an application to council to reopen. Even if it was approved, police say they could resort to enforcing regulations which would give them unlimited access to the premises. The prospect of unannounced police visits at any time of the day or night would at the very least discourage potential clients. The inspection was an abrupt demonstration of Newcastle Police determination to improve the city's image. Just hours before, Inspector Cleary had been the guest speaker at a Newcastle business luncheon where he assured guests that police were maintaining a law and order campaign.
We are fully aware of a lot of things happening around Newcastle, and we are addressing them. We aren't asleep, as a lot of people think we are. We are pretty well awake up there, and we are well informed through our intelligence systems what is happening around our town.
Janet Thompson plays Hélène in the story, which takes place in Sparta in ancient Greece, up to the time where she is abducted, taken off to Troy and launches those 1,000 ships. Offenbach's late last century comic characters include Calchas the Augur, played this time by Ian Miller. The electronic calculator is a product of a 1960s revamp of La Belle Hélène, on which this production is based. In all, there's a cast of 40, including Shelley O'Donnell and Wendy Ratcliffe as Leona and Cressida, two bright young things from Sparta. The 20-piece orchestra is directed by Trish McDougall, who used last night's final dress rehearsal to iron out problems. Ironing out the charts will be next on the agenda before the show opens Friday to run until mid-July. The venue is the Light Opera Company's base, the New Tech Theatre at the Ties Hill College. La Belle Hélène is a lot of work. It has 4 major scenes and loads of catchy tunes and is a great chance for an audience to escape. After all, as they say,
Most people are aware of beach and ocean pollution, but according to the Department of Water Resources, there is an even bigger problem which few realise. It occurs in the rivers and lakes and affects every water user in the state. River pollution can take on many forms. The most prominent is salinity, caused by the clearing of trees and vegetation. But it can also occur through pesticides which flow off farms into the river system. In the Hunter Valley, the biggest problem is erosion, with sediment flowing downstream and usually ending up in Newcastle Harbour.
If we, for instance, stopped all our maintenance works on the Hunter, then you'll get a lot more sediment being deposited in the harbour and the dredging costs are going to go up significantly.
To control the major pollution problems in the Hunter region, the department is asking farmers to set up land care groups to help maintain the delicate natural balance of the river system.
And these are basically self-help groups. If you've got an erosion problem in an area or a number of landholders have got an erosion problem, then we come along and give you technical advice and we will help you to establish vegetation to control the erosion problems.
The Minister has given commercial boat operators 6 months to comply with the no effluent ruling, and Mayor Ivan Welsh says the move will soon cover private boat owners using the waterway. At least 3 owners of houseboat and yacht hire firms have complained to the council that there are no onshore facilities to take the waste. The Mayor has described the move as heavy-handed action by the State Pollution Control Commission. The issue will be discussed at a public meeting next month.
Today, 47 service departments were opened at Hillside in Mount Hutton. The single and double strata title units have been developed by Jennings Healthcare. In the past 10 weeks, 20 have been sold, giving the company just the vote of confidence they had hoped for.
Here at Hillside we have a commitment to spend about another $20 million on care of the aged facilities. And of course there is already a $13 million investment here. And our company intends to spend about $10 million within the Raymond Terrace area.
That development will be alongside the Oban Nursing Home in Kangaroo Street, where approval has been given to enlarge the premises to a 68-bed nursing home with 60 service departments. It continues the theme of constructing units where medical help is already available. At Hillside there is a 100-bed nursing home with 100 staff on site. So successful has the idea proved that 1,500 new units are planned throughout the state in the next few years.
The display consists of 20 modules, each with a hands-on example of principles of physics.
IBM Mathematica is a simple introduction, if you like, to a lot of the better known principles and practices of science and mathematics that have been perhaps discovered hundreds of years ago, but which are very important to the way we live in our daily lives.
Most popular is the speed of flight display, which calculates the velocity of moving objects in much the same way as police radar. There's also an elliptical billiard table that lets you sink the ball every single time. Visitors are taught principles of bridge and arch building, momentum and probability. There are mind-bending games which teach patience and forethought, if not mathematics. The idea that underlies Mathematica is fun, learning through enjoyment, and it's bound to intrigue children and adults alike. The exhibition will continue for 3 months.
The Air Force Base is the scene of hectic but ordered activity as personnel begin stage 1 of exercise Pitch Black. In accordance with Australia's defence strategy, Williamtown's airmen and women have to be ready to move north at short notice, and today they were put to the test. Exercise Pitch Black involves a simulated attack on our northern shores. The week-long war game between enemy Orange forces and the Blues includes US and Singaporean aircraft, and in air defence terms is bigger than Kangaroo 89. But just getting there is at least half the battle. Once the ground crews have settled in, the base's fighter squadrons will follow. The F-18 Hornets depart on Monday morning, leaving an unfamiliar quiet to settle over Williamtown. The absence of aircraft couldn't come at a better time for the base, where urgent repairs to the runway surface will begin as the last fighter scrambles. Resealing of the runway was last carried out in 1975 and is long overdue. It's estimated the locally awarded contract will cost the RAAF about $2 million. Tom Hilston, NBN News.
With bitterly cold gale force winds whipping round the tarmac this morning, the pilots from Squadrons 3 and 77 could not have been hard-pressed to pack up their kit bags and take off for the more hospitable climate of Darwin, from where they'll operate for the next month. Though what awaits them there is far from a holiday. The 2 Hornet and 1 Macquarie squadrons, along with more than 800 support crew, will be spending 24 gruelling hours a day on the international exercise Operation Pitch Black.
It's a practice air defence exercise. It's part of the annual schedule of exercises that we conduct with other countries, in this case the United States and Singapore.
Some people might speculate, Group Captain, that the craft are heading up there because of the tensions in Papua New Guinea.
Well, if that is the case, I'm entirely unaware of it, but the exercise are planned on an annual basis, and this exercise has been held at this time of the year for a preceding number of years.
Also leaving the nest today, the base's only other Hornet squadron, 20CU. That's a training unit given its marching orders to Richmond to see the way clear for the start on the work of a new runway. Its conditions been the cause of grave concern for almost a year. Base officials fearful continued use could have led to disaster.
During the periods of heavy rain that we had middle of last year and again in February this year, that water pressure caused some bubbles to rise in the runway. Now, if an aircraft like an F-18 struck one of those on its takeoff or landing roll, then the broken pieces of bitumen could be ingested into the engines, and that could cause a loss of either an aircraft or damage to the engines, and they are extremely expensive.
With a price tag just on $2 million, work on the new runway is to begin immediately. Disruption to civil aircraft will be minimal. Flights will have to be stopped for only 4 days at the most.
Philip Brogan Miller was shot 3 times in the leg and upper body by police in a car park at Wallsend District Hospital shortly after 1 o'clock on Sunday morning. It's believed police were alerted that Miller went to the hospital where his wife was receiving medical attention following a domestic dispute earlier in the night. Senior State Police immediately launched an inquiry, which is being handled by the Region North Homicide Squad and Internal Affairs. Their reports will be submitted to a coronial inquest, but already the New South Wales Civil Liberties Council Council is questioning the effectiveness of police investigating themselves. Council President Ken Haller QC says there are deep concerns as to why 2 or 3 police officers resorted to firearms to control a lone man wielding a 15-centimetre knife. He said the public expects police to exercise control, although they shouldn't be expected to put themselves at risk. He says an inquiry must determine if the victim could have been disabled rather than shot. Mr Haller is aware of media reports that Miller had a history of violence, but he says that doesn't excuse the shooting. If police knew of Miller's prior history, it should have alerted them to take care, he said. There were other ways short of gunning him down. The inquiry is continuing.
Filipino fighter Little Banguan will be Craig Peavy's foe, and he boasts a record of 41 wins from 58 fights. Today, as is the custom with the deeply religious Filipinos, he was seeking some divine intervention and to lend a hand Father Kennedy from St Columbus at Adamstown.
We're always entitled to ask God to help us do our best, and so we hope he'll do his best. Like the Pope's blessing on the Irish soccer players, they didn't win, but they played very well, so we're quite happy with that. So tomorrow night he'll be playing very well too.
With a limited command of the English language, it was left to trainer Johnny Alorde to assure us Banguan is ready for Peavy.
I saw some of the tapes of Craig Peavy. Maybe we can beat him.
Peavy's original opponent, Renato Cornett, withdrew from the fight with a hand injury, robbing the Cardiff boxer the chance to get even after their rugged bout in Sydney earlier this year. While not taking his adversary lightly, what a win will do will be enough incentive for Peavy to give this fight his best shot.
We had planned to fight Renato against Georgie Navarro, who fought Jeff Fenech for a world title. That now looks like it's open to Craig Peavy. If he can come through this one against Little, he's going to fight on the Fenech undercard in July, and he's ready for Navarro. Navarro wants to come here. We're looking sometime in September.
And Father Kennedy had some timely advice for Little Banguan.
Doing unto others before they do unto him.
Suitors architect Snell has designed the shopping and library complex, which is to cost Lake Macquarie Council $4.8 million to build. It is Council's first private venture and will be located on this site at the corner of Brighton Avenue and Pemmell Street, Toronto. The plan is for 2 separate buildings joined by an open car park. The ground floor of the commercial building will be leased by Jules Food Store, Frasco's Fruit Affair and Mulligan's Meats, while Family and Community Services will share the top floor with a new public library. At Council's request, a coffee shop plan for the top floor has been taken out. Next to the commercial centre will be a 5-level car park with parking for 250 vehicles. The lower level is designed so that, if necessary, it can also be turned into retail space. Local company Sabimo has been chosen to build the complex. Work on the project begins on Tuesday. It's hoped the car park will be completed by the middle of October, and if all goes according to plan, Toronto should have its new shopping library complex by Christmas. Jodie McKay for NBN News. The concept of a corporate wardrobe was adopted by Newcastle City Council several months ago. Local designer Jean Bass was commissioned to create a tailor-made wardrobe, and 65% of staff have already placed orders. Lake Macquarie has taken a different approach, running a competition to find a designer for its corporate uniform.
We've opened it to all people in New South Wales. We're sending out application forms to the TAFE colleges, and we're hoping that the high schools in the Hunter region will get behind it and start putting in applications too.
The winner will receive $1,000, and if you're planning to enter and looking for hints,
We're hoping to get something in a classic look and one that reflects the colours that we have in our corporate crest, and just something very special.